Hello, my name is Yolanda Campbell, and I am going to present for you today portion of my case analysis during my practicum. First slide will start with meeting my client. I want to give you some of my client's dynamics. She is a Latino bilingual, 41-year-old female. She is a domestic abuse survivor. She has a 12th grade education. Fortunately, she's estranged from her two adult children, which are two sons. She's also estranged from her ex-husband, which was the abuser. She's homeless, but she's living with her brother at this time. She has low income because she receives only $800 a month in alimony, and she also has a criminal record. I want to share with you some of the relational dynamics in her life. Right now, she's not only involved in Strive Indy, which is my practicum, a reentry program, but she's also involved in Voc Rehab, and it resources to the client. As you see, I have an arrow, meaning she's receiving resources from Voc Rehab. They are currently helping her find affordable housing for her low income. That's us, Strive Indy, which is also resourceful to the client. We are helping her build resumes, gain job skills, and life skills as well. She has a probation officer, which is also resourceful to the client. He holds her accountable for keeping up with her goals and things that are important to her in her life, and also make sure she gets in no other trouble. As well as she has nieces and nephews that she lives with, because she lives with her brother. And she, as you can see, the arrow points to her actual relatives in that location, because she is the aunt and also kind of lives as the nanny. So she takes them back and forth to school and practices, and she's responsible for those types of things with them. Her brother, which is who she lives with, as you can see, it's a double arrow with resources, because he's allowing her to stay there rent-free, but as well she's giving back by helping them with the children. Her church, as you can see, it's a resourceful back and forth, because she's receiving spiritual guidance from church, and also she participates in church activities, which benefits the church. Her school, she's currently in being enrolled in Ivy Tech, which is actually resourceful to the client. She wants to further her education in the medical field. Her ex-husband is here. As you can see, the dotted lines indicate that they're estranged and they're stressed, or that relationship is dissolved. And this is her older and younger son. As you can see, the dotted line indicates that that relationship is also strained. The presenting issues for the client at this point, and why she actually came to Strive Indy to get help from us. She has theft on her criminal record. And thefts are very, very hard to get gainful employment. She lacks housing because she's living with a relative and can be somewhat considered homeless. She's unemployed. Again, the low income because she only gets alimony at this point. She's undereducated, and she has when I say undereducated, she's undereducated in the sense for her own personal goals, because she wants to increase her economical status in her education to gear toward the medical field. She has low self-esteem, which is due to years of abuse from her ex-husband, and she does suffer from depression, which she is currently on medication for, and she's also seeking help for it as well. when we go to cultural competencies, as far as what I have experienced and also what I've learned from my education and applying it to my practicum. As you can see, culturally, my client is diverse because she's a survivor of domestic violence. She's Latina, and her family cultural dynamics are a little different than what our normal American dynamics might be. For instance, in her marriage, she thought it to be and was raised to be the provider, the caretaker, and not speak up for herself as much, but basically just to do as she's told. And also, she has a criminal record, which puts her in a population that people really look down on or really have forgotten at this point. According to the National Association of Social Workers Code of Ethics, Cultural Competence and Social Diversity section, social workers should obtain education about and seek to understand the nature of social diversity and oppression with respect to race, ethnicity, national origin, color, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, age, marital status, political belief, religion, immigration status, and mental or physical disability. Now, if we break down the why these specific areas might affect my client with reference to her obtaining employment. Now, because she's a female, for one, she may not receive the same pay as her male counterparts. And also, because she's Latino, the employers may, instead of, she wants a clerical position, but instead of putting her in something in that area, they may stick her to an area that is labor sufficient instead of pulling out those other skills that she has. And because she is a domestic violence survivor, she lacks confidence and self-esteem. And I believe her being bilingual could actually be beneficial to her in gaining the type of employment that she wants. But unfortunately, again, they may just stick her in a lower paid rate labor type of position because she's Latino. And when dealing with her, I did keep all of these specific characteristics in mind and what type of boundaries that she may face when trying to fulfill her goals. Excuse me for that interruption. I apologize. Our next slide refers to social work theories or theory-based practices that I used when I was working with the client. I used motivational interviewing and also considered Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Motivational interviewing is a form of collaborative conversation for strengthening the person's own motivation and commitment to change. It's a person-centered counseling style and addresses a common problem of ambivalence about change to paying particular attention to the language of change. And it is also designed to strengthen the individual's motivation for movement toward a specific goal by exploring the person's own reasons for change within an atmosphere of acceptance and compassion. So when I'm using this particular theory, I make sure I use things to help change her negative thinking patterns, incorporate language that assists the client in increasing her confidence, and by using reflection, I display empathy and I build a rapport with my client as well. I also use open-ended questions that challenge the client's negative processes, affirmations to encourage her, and the reflection also help with my listening skills, and I help promote the client's self-esteem as well. And when we refer to my theory basis when using Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Maslow's hierarchy of needs states that people are motivated to achieve certain needs. And when one is fulfilled, the person seeks to fulfill the next one, and so on and so forth, and eventually reaching self-actualization. When utilizing this theory in my professional practice, I evaluated my client's stage and which stage of Maslow's hierarchy needs she might have been in. And unfortunately, starting off, the first level is psychological, which is biological and psychological needs. And those characteristics include air, food, drink, shelter, warmth, sex, and sleep. So she's already lacking shelter in this area. So we would have to even start at the bottom according to this theory. And then once that particular need was fulfilled, we would move up the ladder. Unfortunately, I didn't have long enough time in my internship to work with her on other levels, but we did help her reach goals toward the first level. The second level is safety needs. It refers to protection from elements, security, law, order, stability, freedom, and fear. The middle section is love and belonging. And those areas include friendship, intimacy, affection, love, work group, family, friends, and romantic relationships. The fourth section is esteem, which also my client needed help in, which is achievement, mastery, independence, status, dominance, prestige, self-respect, and respect from others. She always talked about improving herself and want people to like her, and just really learning to love who she was. And then in the self-actualization area, which is the very top bar for Maslow, in this area is massive achievement. And at this point, we are realizing personal potential or self-worth, basically, self-fulfillment, seeking personal growth, and peak experiences. So once we get to this level, we basically know who we are, we're confident in it, we know what we want, and we have no problem building goals to reach that area. And now next I want to refer to how I help the client come about setting goals for herself. Instead of guiding the client, like suggesting what she would want her goals to be, me being a great listener, I allow her to explain what she wanted and what was important to her, which is one of the questions I ask. What is important to you? So that she can evaluate those things, and if they were lacking or she felt they needed improvement, she could say, okay, this is important to me, but it's not where I want it to be. What can I do to improve in that area? Another question I asked was, what is your biggest concern right now? So with that, what's the biggest concern? Because if she's not stable at this point, which one of her biggest concerns was housing, then we should start there, because if that's her biggest concern, that may be a filter or a barrier that will stop her from achieving other goals that should come, if we're prioritizing, should come later than whatever her biggest concern was. So basically, I use those techniques in supporting her self-sufficiency and knowing that she's able to set her own goals. And not only is she able to set her own goals, but she's able to make steps on her own and evaluate them and say, what do I do to get here to achieve them, instead of me saying, okay, well, you should do this and you should do that. Because I believe self-sufficiency is very important. And next, I want to talk about the successes of my client. It was actually very fulfilling working with this client. Not only did I learn some things about myself, but I learned a great deal about the practice and just dealing with clients in general. The client she enrolled in classes for college courses toward her goal in the medical field. The client updated her resume to target the ideal employers. She wanted to be in the clerical area of employment and not labor. The client has begun speaking up on her own behalf in regards to her needs and desires. She was really scared and fearful of speaking with her brother about not playing the nanny role in his life and actually doing things to help her self as far as employment and school, which would interfere with her fulfilling that role for him. Completed Microsoft certification, so she was able we helped her enroll in a class that helped her learn the Microsoft program and get her familiar with that, which would also make her a great candidate for clerical jobs. And she has a resource for housing. Again, the Voc Rehab program has come together with her to help her find housing, which is one of her basic needs. All right, and next I want to talk about my experience in the in my practicum in relation to social work practice. First, I want to cover social justice issues. I have worked in corrections for 4 years as a correction officer, and I was able to work at Strive Indy in the reentry side. So that was way more fulfilling to me, to actually feel as if I'm helping and giving back to the community